And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Record of Sword Forged Worlds, a unofficial Sword World podcast. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have four of my good brothers here. We have the man who is but a letter, and the biggest hater of Age of Sigmar beyond me, good brother A.
My hatred knows no bounds for that setting, but the models look really good.
We have the man losing arguments with himself, good brother Hydra.
Disclaimer, I make no promises. You ain't gonna be hearing honking noises in the background.
Ah, got the Cobra chickens out, huh?
Worse, Canadian goose.
Yep.
Ah, yeah, the Cobra chicken.
They taste so good.
Still blows my mind that those things almost went extinct. Then they recovered, and now it's our problem.
Look, sometimes God gives us an opportunity to get rid of a problem before it starts, but man with his endless hubris is like, no, we shall protect these docile animals. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, never say what's the worst that could happen, because that's almost a guaranteed way to get screwed over by the gods of irony. But we have the Master of the Wanderer's Library, good brother Sig.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful afternoon and enjoying the cool weather if you're down here in the south.
And borderline winning the Doku Challenge, we have our resident sheep, good sister Maki. And we have... Oh. Gone and back again.
There she is.
And again.
Sounds like she's having some tech problems.
Yep. And the Master of the Fistiverse, good brother Joel.
Let's get to fisting.
You only say that because you're wearing the Joggy cosplay today.
First of all, it's not a cosplay. Second of all, it's every day.
Fair enough.
But as I mentioned last week, before we ended up going into the last time I'm going to cover a video from that idiot, only to find out that the video that got Fellows wrong was a different video, which we are not covering. I've put you guys through enough pain as it is.
I'm still thinking back. It's like we had to have looked at the wrong video, because he didn't cover Sword World at all, other than
No, he didn't.
No, he never covers.
Other than oh yeah, it existed.
No, he never covers mechanics. That would involve actual work.
Fair.
And we've suffered enough.
And I do recall having some back and forth with Awkward regarding that whole thing. And welcome back, Maki. And he had said William SRD does a student impression of someone who read one small website about a book summary and trying to pretend he knows the whole book, and makes very bold statements, reciting some small quotes from one website over and over.
I came, and then I am here now.
God damn it.
You can't do that on stream. We're VTubers. You can't get away with that.
Speak for
At
yourself.
least it was only once.
Speak for yourself. I'm a PNG tuber.
I have been tempted to call myself a non-VTubing VTuber simply because of the fact that I don't play that that kind of game. But that's another story for another day. Now, I will note, just to get things out of the way, despite there being a proper release date, we hope, for the backer kit for the official translation, that is not going to be changing my plans at all. I had originally planned around that the initial launch, then they did the whole delay thing, and I went, fuck it, I'm gonna go do the whole thing.
Fuck it, we ball.
I do find it funny that instead of doing
Believe
one
me,
book...
there's plenty of VTubers who don't do the whole sexual thing. I'm just a pervert. Anyway, I hope I didn't miss anything.
No, we were just starting out when you came in, so You do technically win the Doku Challenge this week, but only on a technicality.
Welcome to the party, pal.
But
Yippee.
there were there was a summary of Mugen Gaming's stream that was brought up. I think one of the funniest things that came out of that is the fact that instead of doing one book like they initially planned, they're splitting it into 3 books, which is what I would have proposed them do anyways.
Yeah, because having it all in one big book would be really raising printing and shipping costs.
Looking right at you, Mongoose Traveler. You know what
Yeah,
you
about
did.
that.
Trying to do Traveler in one core book. What the hell?
Oh my god.
That's either a really big book or they cut so many corners on rules.
Strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for them.
A lot of the Third Imperium stuff had to be in a separate book because now doing that in one book for most games is going to be a challenge. For Traveler, it's going to be a bigger challenge because there is one part of Traveler that's going to take up a lot of space no matter what. And that's the life path system.
Mm-hmm.
And the life path system is not really something you can slim down all that easy, without reducing the quality of it.
Why would you want to? That's such a trademark of Travelers roam through that life path
Mhm.
system.
Especially the infamy of you can die during character creation.
You know,
Yeah.
I went and I made myself a party just seeing the chances to die in character creation, and it never happened. I was woefully disappointed.
Oh. But I've defended it because it's a game of chicken, because because after the first tour, you don't have to do any more ones. But every time you try and add another one, you are running that risk. But
Mhm.
But apparently they're doing a player's guide, a monster guide, and a GM guide, which is fair. Apparently we will have an updated primer, which is why I didn't do the Valley of the Judge one-off on the primer that I had initially planned with Sig. Because I had found out they're updating it, and some of the things that we had picked on them about are going to be addressed.
I'm going to have fun tearing that to shreds.
Mm-mm. Apparently the biggest challenge they have is the art, mostly because of time and bureaucracy.
Why is it always bureaucracy that just fucks everything up?
Because money.
Sometimes it's not even money. It's just straight up bureaucracy, as anyone who's served in any branch of the military will tell you. Plenty of times the story of, oh, this was a good idea, and then the army got a hold of it.
That sounds about right.
Apparently, Group SNE wants Mugen to make their own supplements as well, which I understand that, but that is going to be a challenge.
For now, Mugen is probably better off just translating what's already there.
Yeah. But they'd like to release rules earlier for review before a print release. They do want to do digital on DriveThruRPG. Smart move. Unlike some people, looking right at you, Foundry, when it came to Cortex Prime.
Yeah, what was up with that?
So, when Foundry got a hold of Cortex Prime, for whatever reason, instead of putting the books up, at least the PDF, on DriveThruRPG, they put it on their own site, a site that was attached to a wiki. Well, a wiki-like thing. It wasn't actually using like Fandom or any of the other wiki-based hosting sites. But trying to get it and trying to get your PDF for it was tricky because it wasn't quite clear where the link for that was. Oh.
I don't know, man. Like, why would you like drive-through is ubiquitous, even if you have it on your own site, which is fine. Like, because you do it in your own site, you don't have to worry about their cut or anything like that. But why wouldn't you also put it on drive-through? Like, because you benefit from drive-through's huge inbuilt customer base. Like, dude, just do it on drive-through too.
That and their print-on-demand service.
Yeah, their
Which is
POD is
actually
really
pretty good.
good.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
fantastic. In terms of just making things available, like, it's unbelievable. It's the best archiving service we have for, like, basically all of TTRPG history. So,
Yeah.
I really like DriveThru RPG.
Mhm.
And a lot of I've worked with a few people who've put their stuff on drive-through and itch, and obviously my stuff is on itch. If it wasn't a fan game, I'd put it on drive-through as well. But some of the other things that were mentioned was they're not announcing stretch goals yet. Smart. Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
I try to limit stretch goals too. Just wise.
They're not doing any Lodos content anytime soon, which you probably wouldn't have had to answer that question if you didn't attach Lodos to this. When myself, Aquid, and everybody else has said, Sword World and Lodos don't have as much in common as people think, and this is still 2.5, so which Lodos has had RPGs in the years since the OG, but they're not handled by anyone in the Sword World team. They're not even using the same system. From what little I've seen of the anniversary one from a few years ago, that's using a D100 system. So it focusing on Raxia, that was always a given. They'd like to do something like Adventurers League, which I get that, but start small. Remember what I said about not counting your chickens.
Mhm.
I mean,
Baby
even
steps.
Paizo has a hard time with Adventurers League, right?
I haven't been to those official events in years, so I wouldn't be able to say. But in terms of putting out those missions, like what Shadowrun does or what Pathfinder does with the Pathfinders Guild, I think Sword World would be in a unique position for that because of how very light scenarios are. Like the only game I have that has scenarios lighter is Savage Worlds, which can do a whole scenario in one page. But they have stated that they'd like to add more classes, but so far only core. So I think they're only doing the classes that are in core rulebooks 1 through 3 that we've covered. They're looking into doing battle maps. That's going to be an interesting thing because I think some people have this idea that they could do grid combat with Sword World, and the only thing that really supports grid combat in Sword World that we have access to is Monochromatica, and that is specifically built for that world. It's not even grid combat the way a lot of people think it is. So unless they plan on making a grid combat rule set, which I would not recommend, we saw that when we looked at the 3 combat systems. It's not likely. They're also looking for content creators to collaborate with on either actual plays or other things. Which is part of why I did that little initiative.
They likely misunderstand the advanced combat system for grid combat, which it is not.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Not None of the combat systems really fit the traditional grid combat approach. Simplified certainly doesn't, and that's the one that's going to get used the most. Standard, barely, if you only consider the whole one plane thing, but even that's a stretch. And advanced is more akin to wargame combat than anything else.
Which it would be nice to have more systems do the whole war game like combat instead of just grids, but we'll see if they do that or try to make their own thing, which that's going to be rough.
They did talk about, well, it's not a priority, but considering some sort of thing about converting D&D characters to Sword World characters. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. It probably won't. Because there's a bunch of stuff that...
sheet and I don't think that's going to work for him. Like, you would have to basically not understand either game to think that was a good idea.
I understand the idea of it. You know, there's always going to be an appeal to converting characters from one system to another.
You would have an easier time converting them to Vampire the Masquerade. I'm not even kidding.
The big problem is that there's certain things, especially when it comes to spellcasting, that are just fundamentally incompatible or don't have a parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say, Artificer. Think of the D&D style Artificer, and then think of Sword World Artificer. There's
apples and oranges.
I have called it apples and asparagus. But for today, getting all the housekeeping aside, today we're going to be doing the first look at the supplements. And when Sig, as I mentioned last week, when Sig and I tried to go through the supplement release order list, the intent was to go through them, replays notwithstanding, in the order of their original releases.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first, coming out in August 2009. So not too far from when the original core books came out. And yes, the big part of it is going to be the Alchemist class, which we will get to. But there's a few other things we'll get to as well. But first things first, the Alchemist class, whenever it comes to talking about these kind of things, I always try to draw parallels. With the Alchemist class as we have it in Sword World, I have a hard time coming up with a parallel in other games or other media. Last week I mentioned the Atelier series, which isn't exactly a one-to-one comparison, but it's the closest I can come up with. And I know some might be tempted to say, well, wouldn't it be not far removed from a Yu-Gi-Oh character? And I'm like, alchemists don't summon. We won't get to summoning rules for a while, the golems that we already covered notwithstanding.
I already like this class.
Mm-hmm. So, the Alchemist is a minor type class. They are able to process and synthesize items out of basic materials to create magically infused cards for their abilities known as evocations. They can synthesize new items out of very little and create items to aid plenty of classes. Alchemists also use evocation, which you would think is a spell, but it is not because it's not using MP. Instead, you're using evocation cards as the fuel for them. You also can use your levels in Alchemist for crafting checks, insight checks, literature checks, and spot trap checks. So they do dip a little bit into some of the stuff you can do with Scout or Sage, just not as broad as Scout or Sage can do. Now, because evocations are not magic, things like Sense Magic or Dispel Magic don't work on it. But the cards that evocations use are referred to as prime materials, or just material cards. You also need a piece of equipment called an alchemy kit in order to use it. So you could kind of consider that their magic implement, even though, again, it's not magic.
So no clapping your hands and if the shit happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know some I think the only other close comparison, and this is a massive stretch, would be Cardcaptor Sakura. Again, that is a massive stretch. But it is the closest I can think of to parallels to how alchemists are going to work. Now, when it comes to the alchemy kit, you can either equip it on one of your hands or equip it in the other type equipment
That's what
slot.
they called me in college.
But unlike spells, you, instead of getting a set of evocations as you level up, each time you take a level in Alchemist, you pick one evocation that you get. They are divided into 3 tiers. The ones that anyone can get, the ones that require level 5 or higher, and the ones that require level 10 or higher. And when it comes to using evocations, it is a mixed bag. Some evocations are a major action, some are a minor action. If you use a major action one, you can't use another minor one. So whichever size of action you pick, that is the evocation you have for that turn. You can't double cast, essentially. On the other hand, evocations target one character. They can be used after a normal move. One of the big disadvantages with Alchemist evocations normally is they aren't very good when it comes to range. Some of them do get ranged attacks, or ranged effects, I should say. There's not many attack evocations. And of course, doing range attacks in combat is going to run the risk of misfirings, as we talked about last week. Well, not last week, 2 weeks ago. So things like Precise Shot and Hawkeye will work for evocations. Guided magic or meta magic feats will not work because, once again, they're not magic. And I will note as a general rule, Sword World has kind of this rule of, if it is not using MP, it's not magic. For the most part.
It's not even a mage class to do to begin with, so it kind of makes sense. It's not technically magic.
Mm-hmm. It's not a wizard type class, it's a other type class. One that goes on the minor development track. Now, as far as the rule, there's also the fact that you don't have a magic power stat for evocations. Instead, you have an evocation check, which is your intelligence mod plus your alchemist level.
Low budget nerd class. Nice.
Now, if you end up botching it, you do still use the material cards for an evocation. If it's an effect that could be resisted, that's resisted with a willpower check. If you want to use the minor action evocations, those have to be done before you do a major action. And there's also the fact that I know I said range is somewhat limited when it comes to evocations. There is one item that you can get that isn't a magic item that can help alleviate that to an extent, and that is the card shooter.
That sounds like Gambit would love to have.
I think there was one character in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX who could turn his dual disc into a gun for some of his direct attacks. Think it was something like that. And I'm pretty sure there's a few others that could lean into that. Although somebody did make a 3D printed card gun. and of course there was the card gun that Kaito Kid had in Detective Conan. So
the anime that gives a child a gun is my stamp of approval, just inherently.
So you could probably use that, though. And I remember doing an image search for card shooter, and I ended up getting the credit card gun. Which is it's basically a Derringer that could fold up to look like a credit card.
Ironically, you can only purchase it with cash.
Oh. I put it in the side chat for you guys.
Now I remember seeing that
And
every
I have to
once in a while.
I have to correct myself. It can hold multiple shots. You could even put a suppressor on it if you want to. I'm not sure why you would, though.
I wouldn't risk catching an extra 20 years or whatever sentence if I have to use something like that.
It could be worse. If you want something that compact, you could have the you could be stuck with the zip gun.
Yeah, I guess it's not that bad.
You know, the one that was so bad it killed the company that made it.
Natural selection at its finest, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll share what it looks like later, but even just looking at it, you'll probably feel psychic damage. Lord knows I do. But getting back on the rails, a lot of the evocations that you can get for Alchemist aren't going to be direct attacks. There are a few that are, but they're in the minority. A lot of Alchemist is on the support side of things. Now, when it comes to material cards, when I explain this, some of you are going to think of mana cards in Magic the Gathering, and you'll see why in a minute. You need to have material cards in your alchemy kit. You can make cards by yourselves, or you can purchase them from a local Institute of Magic Technology. Material cards come in 5 colors.
Oh my god.
Red cards are made through the essence of animals. Green cards are made from the essence of plants. Black cards are made from the essence of minerals. White cards are from essences drawing upon higher mental functions. And gold cards are built on energy. And something to note is with the monster entries that you'll see, and this was Joel, this was something I forgot to tell you about when I was briefing you the other day. Every
Alright.
single monster has their own loot table. All of them.
That's fucking great.
You roll 2d6 straight. If you've got a few levels in Scout, you might get a bonus of +1 or +2, but that's it. And that determines the loot that you can get, which will either give a value for how much gamma you get from selling that loot, or you can convert that loot into an alchemy card, and it'll state what color and also what rank. All
That's
alchemy
fantastic.
cards have one of 4 ranks: B, A, S, or SS. Weapons operate on the same 4-rank system as well.
Oh, BS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've made that joke too. Everybody's made that joke.
Yeah, but not on this podcast.
Mm-hmm. But if you're purchasing them, a B rank card, regardless of color, costs 20 gamma. A ranks cost 200. S ranks cost 2,000. SS ranks cost 20,000. There isn't a level cap as far as what the highest rank card you can use. If you've got the card, you can use it. If you're using a evocation that requires it. Each evocation will have different tiers of effects based on what type of card is rank of card is used.
Would you look at that? The
Mhm.
pricing is also similar to Magic the Gathering.
You know, it all makes sense now. Like
Mhm.
we're just throwing Magic the Gathering cards at our enemies.
Wait, wouldn't that also mean there's probably some guy out there with a Sliver Queen in his deck?
Probably.
Playing Sliver around me is under the same rules as if you play Rugal at an arcade in Latin America. You are going to get your ass kicked. But when it comes to getting particular cards, it's an alchemy kit can hold over 100 cards, but practically speaking, it's rare that you're going to get that many. That being said, you can convert loot and treasures you found in a emergency sense to get cards. And the approach is if you give up a loot that's worth 10 to 99 gamma, that can be converted into a B rank. Loot that's 100 to 999 in A rank. 1,000 to 999 S rank, and 10,000 or more gamma a SS rank. Any loot with a sale price of less than 10 gamma can't be used to make material cards.
Heaven forbid, could you imagine what it'd be like if all we had to do is just pick up a random stone and then there we go, free weapon.
Mm-hmm. There are some ways to get free weapons, kind of, but now each of the monsters in the bestiary does have as mentioned before, does have what cards you can convert. Though keep in mind, converting loot means you're not getting the gamma that you would have gotten from selling that loot. But if you've created your own monster or created original loot for a monster, they do have a bit of guidance on what cards would be appropriate. Red is usually created from animal parts, fur, claws, and teeth. Green is created from plant materials, so if you're dealing with plant monsters, they probably could be converted into green cards. Black from base metals as well as Magitech components. So if you're beating up golems or machines, you could probably get black cards out of that. White is created from weapons, clothes, tools, or armor. which makes sense because you do need to have a higher mental function to create any of those. And gold is made from precious gems, metals, or jewelry. Although, it'd probably be a really easy way to piss off the fairy tamer in the party if you end up using some of their gems to make alchemy cards.
Oops.
What if it discarded beforehand?
Mm-mm. Oh, at that
Fuck
point,
them and their fairy girlfriend harem.
That's mean.
but
I mean, like, the fairy tamer would probably already be doing that with their harem, but anyway.
Fair.
but sometimes an entry will state multiple colors. In any of those cases, you'd pick one. You can't pick both. So, like a sandworm gem
It's
has.
the only way for him to feel big.
So a
Hey, I
sandworm,
played that game. I know how this works.
a sandworm gem, is red gold because it has a strong animal and energy quality. And in that case, if you're converting that to a material card, you have to pick which of the two colors you're going to go with. And as far as creating material card from loot, it usually takes about 10 minutes. Now that can be part of loot determination, or if you're doing it outside of loot determination, it takes 10 minutes to make that stuff. Hence why you have a full kit. And there are a few additional feats that are exclusive to alchemists. So you have stuff like consecutive evocation, which, you know that rule I mentioned about not being able to double cast with major and minor? Consecutive evocation lets you do that. You just have to be level 5 in order to take the feat.
I mean, that is a pretty nice end of a pretty nice milestone to reach.
Mm-hmm. You could also take card reduction, which, if an evocation requires more than one card, you could reduce it. You can't get a freebie out of this, so you have to spend at least one card in order to do this. And with some effects, you can overspend, much like, well, if I'm going to use Magic the Gathering, much like a kicker cost on certain cards. Or entwine, depending on the effect. Which, if that's the case, you have to reduce first before you add it. And the main reason you would add more cards is adding more cards is the easiest way to do multiple targets. Much like multiplying MP cost when using metamagic targets. At level 7, you could take the Secrets of Evocation feat, which doubles the duration of your evocations. Unless they're instants. If it's an instant, then it's not going to have an increased duration because there is no duration.
I mean, 2 times 0 still equals 0.
Mm-hmm. And if its duration is temporary and it's resisted, then it's still 1 round. At level 7, you could also take Enhanced Evocations, which just gives you a +1 to all your evocation checks. Which, between Secrets of Evocation and Enhanced, you'd probably see me more likely to take the former at that level. Especially since by leveling up, you're already increasing your evocation checks as is.
I mean, Secrets and Carta reduction, the two of them combined, and it could be make up for some. It could be quite economic.
Mm-hmm. Because the thing that's important to keep in mind with Alchemist is if you're trying to be a offense heavy character, Alchemist might supplement that, but you're not going to be using evocations as part of your as your primary combat repertoire. But a lot of the evocations have a range of about 10 meters, which again isn't that far. Which is why if you want to use evocations at range, getting a card shooter is going to be a good idea. Oh. But as I mentioned, each evocation will say what card it needs, as well as the effect will have the grade of effect for that evocation. Some have a duration. Usually the ones that do, it's the duration of about 3 minutes. Some don't. Most of them will only need 1 card as a base. Some of them more. And sometimes you might have to use multiple card types in order to get an effect. But I will note that the evocations that can target multiple participants, those are usually ones that take a major action. And keep in mind, for each additional target that you have, you're adding more cards to the expenditure. But but when it comes to the evocations themselves, it's funny that you mentioned a free weapon because, well, that's kind of what instant weapon is.
Yeah, I'm seeing it right there.
Mm-hmm. You create a B rank weapon for 10 seconds.
Better get the most out of that 10 seconds then.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. The power of the weapon depends on the rank, but because it's a B rank weapon, anyone can equip it without needing without needing proficiency feats.
That's what my ex said.
Instant weapon. Isn't that what Archer from Fate Stay Night pretty much used?
Sorry, I am just using my power of free speech to make lewd jokes periodically.
And I'm perfectly okay with this.
Yep.
Excellent contribution, A+.
Monkey, don't apologize. We all know you're doing this for the shits and giggles.
Mm-hmm. But because of that, a common strategy with something like instant weapon would be use it as a minor action and then use it for 1 round. Although, because of the fact that it doesn't state what type of weapon it is, I know a lot of people would look at instant weapon and think, "Oh, this is probably a melee weapon only." They didn't say that.
It just said a simple weapon.
Mm-hmm.
A slingshot's a simple weapon.
So I could easily imagine somebody who has Alchemist and...
Hey, if I want to make a blicky, I make a blicky.
Yeah. If someone wants to make a gun, because they also have Artificer as part of their class list. Well, now they have an instant gun. Oh.
That actually sounds like a pretty cool combination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if not, you could always do a crossbow.
True.
Now, of course, compared to weapons that you could actually get, this isn't going to be as powerful, and it does require a white card, which is not going to be as easy to get. But then you have stuff like Vorpal weapon, which increases damage based on the rank. And I take it back with the range thing, because I think the range with instant weapon would be 10 meters treated as a shot. I think that's for those people who are going to use it to make a ranged weapon or a thrown weapon.
At that point, why not just grab a crossbow?
Yep. Then Crush Fang, which which reduces damage. I like that it's described as blunting a target's weapon. Then Critical Ray, which this one could be a bit nasty, which is probably why it uses a gold card, since it is giving a bonus to the power roll for melee and ranged attacks.
Yeah, I could definitely consider what they probably would put that on the higher tier. Especially if you use an S rank or a double S. +3 or +6? Ouch.
And if that modifier increases it past the critical value, it's treated as a crit.
Given how most of crit values is like what, baseline 10?
Yep. So if you end up using Critical Ray on somebody and they roll a 9 on the power table with their weapon, that's still treated as a crit. Now, obviously, you can't raise it above 13 because there's no 13 on a 2d6, and can't use it on guns.
Oh, heaven forbid you can't turn a pistol into a shotgun.
No, though there is a shotgun spell for Artificers, so you do have that covered.
True,
but stuff like Bark Mail increases defense, Paralyzing Mist reduces evasion, and at higher tiers can be harder to resist. In some of the replays, I think Train Travelers was one of them. Some of the players had talked about how Paralyzing Mist was busted.
I mean, -3 or even just -1 to evasion is already a massive buff or debuff.
At S and double S, I could potentially see it because, at S, not only is it reducing evasion by 3, they take a -2 penalty to willpower save to resist it. And double S, it's 4 and 4. So not only is their evasion taking a bigger hit, it's also harder for them to dodge the effect.
Alright. The asshole. Perfect.
But, Poison Needle does dot damage that doesn't have a duration. Or rather, I take that back. It does have a duration of 6 rounds. And the only way to remove it is using the Cure Poison spell.
6 rounds is really generous.
Especially imagine if you got a double S black card too early and you use that. That's 10 damage per round.
I mean, that's pretty much, the combat is over. It's just the rest of the party just trying to mitigate the damage from the dying enemy.
Yep. Then Mirage Daze reduces the target's accuracy. At double S, it reduces the accuracy by a lot, and if it's used as a major action, it can't be resisted. Which
-8 at double S. Jeez, man.
Well, I know some might look at that and say, "Oh, that is ridiculously OP." But keep in mind, S and double S cards are expensive.
Yeah, you'd have to be lucky.
You either have to be really lucky or really wealthy to get those kind of cards, or have a Monty Hall kind of GM. But at some of the 5th level ones we have Armorist, which reduces defense, so they get no soak. Unlock Needle, which can be used to disable traps. It can basically be used as if you rolled a certain amount on a disable device check. it will work on magical locks and traps. If you use a double S card on it, it's an auto success because you rolled 40.
It's just, hey, the door's open now.
Which I know some people who may have seen some of my past rants would look at that and say, "Wait, you have a problem with knock in D&D, but you don't have a problem with this." That's true, I don't. Because this isn't always automatic.
Unless you're willing to go and spend a lot of money for it.
Yeah. Like, the problem they have with knock is the fact that it goes off fire and forget and always works. As basically making a thief redundant because they don't have to roll to do it when the wizard can just cast this one spell and do it instantly.
To play devil's advocate, like the spell, like when you cast the knock spell, it doesn't make a knocking sound. So if you're trying to open a door quietly that's locked, you still gotta have somebody that has some lock picking tool.
I suppose, but that's still way too situational. And it's more the principle of an effect that's stepping on the toes of someone else is just something I'm not a big fan of on principle. But we also have initiative boost at second tier, which is one way you can boost initiative. That may not sound like much, but keep in mind the means to increase initiative are very limited. There is no improved initiative feat in the usual sense. The main way to increase initiative is by taking Scout. Scout or Rider can increase initiative. Everybody else, it's a 2d6.
Even at the B rank up, +1 is a massive boon in and of itself.
Let's remember, initiative doesn't determines side order, not individual turn order. But insight.
I can only imagine how that could be abused if you put that extra bonus on the part that says Scout.
Yep. But Encyclopedia lets you boost monster knowledge checks, and if you use the double S on it, it's an automatic success, and you know the monster's weakness if you have the Sage class. Then you have stuff like Greatest Fortune, which lets you harness good and bad luck. It's one of the rare cases of having a range more than 10 meters. Instead of basically, if that target is doing a power roll, instead of rolling 2d6, they roll one die and double it.
I mean, on one hand, just rolling the d6 can be beneficial, but at the same time, if you just roll a 1 and you double it, yeah,
that's still a fail. If you roll a 6, that is still a crit. The tier of card determines how long you can use it. What was that, Sig?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I thought I heard you say something.
Mm-mm.
And that's Greatest Fortune is a minor action. You just need to spend 2 gold cards per target. Actually, no, because it's a minor action, you can't do multi-target. You can only do 1. Which is good, because doing that to a whole party would probably be a little ridiculous. And risky. But, concentration reduces MP cost. And this applies even if meta magic is used. Dispel Needle gives you... you lose any effects from techniques, spell songs, evocations, and unique skills on the case of monsters. And it is resisted with an evocation check. It's just that the higher the tier, the more bonus until you get to double S, where it's a automatic success if it's used as a major action. Then you have Bind Ability, which reduces checks for unique skills. Heal Spray, so you can do some healing, though you're not going to do as much as say a shaman or a priest. And you're going to need an A rank card in order to do it. And that's just to give 5 HP.
And 2 green cards as well. That's one thing I'm noticing about the level 5s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The higher tier ones, you're going to need higher tier cards or more cards. Vivid Liquid might be a little bit more useful because a lot of MP costs don't really go into the double digits unless you're using meta magic, in which case you're going to be spending a lot of MP. In fact, I'd say the real cost when it comes to spells is through meta magic, not through the individual spells. Which it has that in common with the game that the first game that I covered in this channel, Heroes Against Darkness, where the spells look cheap, but trying to do multi-target or trying to boost the spells, it adds up fast. But when it comes to some of the 10th level ones, I do notice that as we get closer to the higher tier ones, it stops being as much of a static bonus and starts being more unique effects. Especially at 10th, especially the tier 3 ones, or the ones that require 10 levels in Alchemist. Like say Clayfield, where everyone within 30 meters of you is now immune to Earth-type damage and effects, but you take more damage from Wind-type effects.
Oh, that bounces. I was about to say, it's like, that's really powerful, but then it's like, oh, but the opposite element you take extra damage from.
Someone says if we're playing Pokemon.
Actually, this sort of elemental field approach, I know I'm making a deep cut with this, but I'm reminded of the Eye of Judgment.
Now there's a name I haven't heard in a while.
But, combined materials, you can combine 15 material cards of the same color and rank in order to create one card of the same color, but 1 rank higher, to a maximum of double S.
So basically, you gotta farm like a motherfucker in order to get a free upgrade.
Yep. Then you have something like Slash Field, which has it that that everyone's immune to bludgeoning weapons, but they'll also deal less damage with blunt weapons. And your allies will deal +5 damage with slashing weapons. And an interesting thing with the field effects, like with Clayfield or Slash Field, the field doesn't move with the caster.
It sticks wherever you initially casted it?
Yep.
Oh, that's
It outright
rad.
says, if an alchemist moves from the spot where they use this evocation, the area of effect does not move with them.
It's Final Fantasy Tactics, man. I told you this game was tactics. You didn't believe me, but here it is. More proof.
Then you have stuff like dividing materials, where you can basically do the opposite, but you don't have to spend as many. You can divide one card into 8 material cards of the same color, but one rank lower. Except for B ranks. For obvious reasons, because there's nothing lower than B rank. And you also have stuff like Barrier Field, which reminds me a lot of the barriers in X 1999. Because of the fact that the way it works, everyone within 30 meters of the alchemist cannot leave, or the area of effect, cannot leave through normal means. The only way you can get out is with magical means like the teleport spell.
So we're all stuck in a giant bubble. Cute.
Mm-hmm.
Splendid.
Oh,
That's a very anime power. I love that.
but
These
Flame
things
Field
are kinda
works.
cool.
Yeah, Flame Field works similar to Clay Field. It's just with a different set of elements and a different card requirement. You're immune to fire. You take more damage from water. But then stuff like Rest Field, that could be particularly useful. Except for the mages, because Rest Field has it that anyone within the area gets +5 HP from any healing effect. But MP use is increased by 2 points.
That's rather situational.
Mm-hmm. And there were some more mods to Alchemist in 2.5, but we'll get to those when we get to 2.5. I think one of the big things to note is, with a handful of exceptions, most of the evocations can be used as a major or minor action. And it's very clear you have to be mindful of action economy. But the section after that goes into class commentary about the different adventurer classes. And I do like that they make clear you only advance them by actively going out and adventuring. So this is the case of PTFO.
Always a nice to add to PTFO.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of this would be repeated in one of these start guide books in 2.5. But they go into a bit more fluff detail on the different classes, going into a summary of them, their origins, learning them, their place in society, the roles as both a primary or secondary. And I know I'd be very tempted to say, why wasn't this in the core book? I think the answer to that is very simple. Probably there wasn't any room. With all the stuff that core rulebooks 1 through 3 have to do, there wouldn't be much room for this kind of class commentary.
It also gives the people a reason to buy their shit, and so they could keep paying their employees.
Well, I'd also imagine that that this kind of stuff wasn't even finished by the time that happened, because that is a common thing where much like how I've said, a lot of things can come down to either time or tech. With stuff like this, it can be a factor of either not having space or that just wasn't finished at the time. I also like that they have a sidebar when it comes to Grappler about why you would pick Grappler instead of a weapon.
Screw you, I like my swords.
Just don't try to steal them all, alright?
Hey, I will take whatever swords I find.
But something that I do find amusing when it comes to Grappler is that you can use the dual wielding feats to let you do even more hits. Oh.
Hey, the world is Sword World, not Fist World. That
No.
would be a very weird thing.
No, Joel's already got that covered.
But at the same time, though, the world is not a giant sword. It was just made by swords. So like is it really Sword World?
It was still made by swords, so it still counts. Unless you want to go way overboard, like that sorcery video game that I demoed a while back.
Nah.
Yeah, I missed that VOD. I would have to rewatch it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But I do like that there's advice given about the ways to utilize class combos if you want to use each class as either your primary or secondary. Primary and secondary aren't listed as a stated part of character creation, but it's one of those things that emerges just implicitly rather than explicitly. Because when you're picking your classes, there are going to be ones that you're going to focus around, no matter what. And the fact that it does suggest what potential feats you might want to lean into, not a lot of games on any side of the pond really do that. Instead, a lot of them will just throw you into the middle of the pool and say, "Swim, damn it." Oh.
I mean, I'd still take being thrown into the pool instead of the Heihachi approach.
Yeah. But, like, for example, with Fighter, they outright state that taking Enhancer might be a good idea for you. I know some people go, it seems a bit limiting that the warrior classes don't mix with each other.
Hey kids, did you know drugs are good for you?
I mean, just
for legal reasons, that's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Captain America is all about the drugs.
If I want to be technical on the matter, Enhancer is more akin to breathing techniques than it is the drugs. But I find it amusing that some games go into this long spiel about about how to do grapples, and don't give you the grapple and throw thing that people want. And Sword World does that automatically with taking Grappler. You take Grappler, you get Punch, you get Kick, you get Throw. You're going to be using Chain Attack to do either a Punch and a Kick in the same action, or you're going to be doing a Throw, which does damage and knocks them prone for a round.
Remind me, Mildred, can we also do submissions and holds with the Grappler?
Not exactly. There are some combat schools, and we'll get to the whole school concept much later, that allow for expanded uses of throw, but doing any sort of choke out is not going to be a thing. So it's best to look at throws like command grabs.
Oh no, we're gonna have too many Hugos.
It could be worse. Do you want to be
But
stuck in?
still,
Do you want to be
as
stuck
someone
in?
who had played Grappler, yes, you can be a magical wrestler yelling "you whore" and choke slamming dragons.
Yeah.
But-
Sign me up.
Sig, do you want to be stuck in King's death roll again?
Hey, it's possible to break out. You just have to have very specific timing.
So remember when I showed that to Coops and he got real salty. I know why,
timing in
because we've all
question
been there.
The timing
Oh,
in question
God.
is attacking to break it before he's able to get the move off.
Mm-mm.
There's a very small window where you can break a throw,
That's right, before
even
you start
during
playing
King's
Tekken.
combo traps.
But we have a similar thing with the Fencer, which I'd say if somebody's wants to do the Magic Warrior archetype, as tempting as it would be to have them take Fighter, taking Fencer is what I'd tell them to do instead, because your whatever spellcasting class you pick is going to be expensive, since that's a major type, and doing 2 major types early on, that's not going to come cheap.
And even if you do get the XP, you're going to be lagging behind everyone else.
Mm-mm. Whereas Fencer is a minor type, so you can use it, you just can't use the bigger weapons. Oh. Now, if you're doing a caster, you're not going to want the bigger armor anyways, because that's going to be metallic armor, and you're going to be penalized in metallic armor. Oh. And when it comes to marksman, if you want to do ranged attacks, you're doing marksman, unless you're doing thrown weapons, in which case you're probably doing fighter, and using thrown weapons as a backup. And because of that, Artificer and Marksman is a very common combo.
The good all-yeet player combination.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to... when it comes to classes like Sorcerer and Conjurer, which is what I was thinking of when I said Shaman earlier, I know it would be tempting to look at them as Black and White Mage, and we talked about that a couple weeks ago, but the tricky thing is that there's spells within their spell list that don't strictly fit what people think of a Black Mage or a White Mage. Sorcerers are one of the preeminent blaster casters, I will admit that, but not every spell is blasting. And the best approach is to look at the situation and what might be required. Though they do have a lot of destructive spells, and you're going to be abusing Energy Bolt quite a bit.
Hey guys, let's make a Danny DeVito caster.
Pulling up a character sheet, pulling up the
And
character
then I
sheet.
started blasting.
But when it comes to Conjurer, they do have more support spells than Sorcerer. But they also have Golems, which is one of the bigger reasons you're going to want to take it.
I mean, who doesn't want a giant
And undead.
Yep, and Undead. Might be a little bit harder to argue with the Town Guard why you have a bunch of bones.
I mean, just say to me you're going to take them to the local graveyard.
Course, I got a bone to pick with a bandit.
Oh.
I was gonna say I was gonna do the Monster Closet meme from Doom.
Yeah. 5 out of 10 map, 10 out of 10 meme.
Exactly.
Also known as also known as why no one goes into the lockers of the Casali brothers.
Exactly. Nothing but nope rooms.
Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to remember if this was something that was added into 2.0. I think this was added later in 2.0, or maybe in 2.5. I can't recall when it was added in, but you know how you can put certain gems on Shale in Dragon Age Origins to give them extra effects? You can do a similar thing with golems. Where certain gemstones for certain golems will give them additional abilities they can use.
The Origins is such a damn good game.
But the thing is that of course those gems are expensive, and you can't put every gem that you have on ones because they're specific about what gems and what golems require it. And also remember, summoning a golem is still a spell, so you are going to be paying up an MP.
I mean, could you imagine summoning a giant bodyguard for free?
If that's the case, it's best to have enchanted bones or enchanted materials because they don't get consumed. But personally, I am waiting for somebody to do a conjurer build specifically so that they can say that they do have friends on the other side.
It's a pretty good song, I admit it.
It's not
It's a banger of a song. It felt kind of wasted because like nothing happened in that movie.
But when it comes to priests, I do like that they have a sidebar about priests without magic, i.e., not every follower of a faith has the priest adventure levels. If you have, and sometimes you might not even be a member of a clergy and still have priest levels.
I mean, like, let's be frank, all spellcasters is all about choosing which deity you want to serve and have at it.
Sometimes it might be the other way around.
It would be kind of weird if you approached a random drunk priest named Billy, and he just fist of God you in his drunken stupor.
That just sounds like a Saturday night.
Yeah, it's a pretty normal occurrence for most of us.
Or probably a drunken fistmaster in anime.
If I got into trouble every time that I heard the phrase drunken fisting, well, okay, never mind. Actually, I get in trouble pretty frequently when I hear that phrase.
Yes. But I had forgotten to mention this beforehand.
You too here.
With Fairy Tamers, originally they had just one spell list, like a lot of other classes. Later on, and we'll get to this later. Fairy Tamers have the element rank setup that that would be carried over into 2.5, and I think they were better for it, since it lets them feel different.
More options is always nice.
But I think one particular archetype that in 1.0 was kind of on the short end of the stick, that's a little bit less so in 2, is Sage. Sage is the knowledge class, obviously, but it was a bit more situational in 1.0, which I think, and I said this in the past, I think that's the reason why the weak point mechanic was added into 2.0. Because with monster knowledge, every monster has 2 target numbers. The lower one determines whether or not if you can know what monster you're dealing with. The higher one is to expose its weak point. And fortunately, doing that knowledge check is not an action. Otherwise, that would be very unfortunate. And yes, it will probably not come as much of a surprise when I say that Sage pairs well quite a bit with the wizard type classes.
I mean,
Makes
someone
sense.
needs to be the group's encyclopedia.
But for each class they have that kind of background, and I'm skimming through a lot of it because going through all of them would be kind of redundant. But
And let's be, we've already been through all the classes in the
Mhm.
previous episode anyway.
I do still love the Tabit bike. The Tabit
Yes.
on a monobike, and the fact that the helmet has holes just for his ears.
It's great.
I'm so surprised that this set didn't even have hover bikes.
Why wouldn't it?
It does, in multiple grades, and yes, also hoverboards. So make your Back to the Future jokes now.
I think like,
No.
the setting has like flying battleships, so it's not that far out of the question to have a little hover scooter.
Plus, just the Magitech
Hey.
setup alone is one of the big reasons why I say approaching Sword World like you're approaching any of the more well-known D&D settings is not going to work.
Also, Elon Musk, please, you want to be the biggest name in transportation? Create a hover vehicles.
Well, it's been known how to make hover or flying vehicles like that since the 50s. The reason nobody pursues it is because they don't like the reason why we don't have flying cars is because, well, you've seen how people drive on just terra firma.
Mhm.
Oh, don't remind me, my sister that got into a bit of an accident just last week, and fair point.
But now I know it's I do like that they have a sidebar about the alchemy kit. I do kind of wish there was a piece of art that just showed what a singular alchemy kit looks like. Because whenever I've commissioned art for alchemist type characters, and I have to bring that up, I've used some of the official art as a point of reference, but even then, there isn't a piece of art that's just, this is the anatomy of an alchemy kit. At least none that I've been able to find. But in the same section, they also go into the gods of Roxia. The effect of faith, as well as the ranks within a temple. So going from bottom to top, it's acolyte, deacon, priest, high priest, and great priest. With a associated level, which is a nice touch. A acolyte would be 4th level. A priest would be. Actually, I have to correct myself. So, but I think there might be a bit of a switch because deacon and acolyte are in the wrong order, I think. I don't know if that was a typo or something else, because it says those with the priest class first become deacons. Then at 4th level they become an acolyte. Then at the 7th level they become a priest. At the 10th level they become a great priest, a high priest at the 10th level, and a great priest at 15th level. However, not 15th, 13th. A 15th level priest would be like a pope. But I do like that within this it is going into details on each of the gods, the way blasphemy can make you lose the priest class, though don't worry, We're not dealing with that guy problem with paladins. And I remember somebody asking me, is there a paladin class, because I like playing paladin. Not here, because there would be no point.
I mean, the paladin class is really just a cleric with a melee focus.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone wanted to be a paladin, take some levels in priest, take some levels in fighter, done.
Or rather, in this case, fencer, because fighter is a major, and so is priest.
Mm-hmm. You just one
I
of the.
mean, a cleric and a fighter multiclass is a paladin.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
Yep. But it talks about how in order to lose the priest class like that, you have to commit an act of blasphemy and show no signs of remorse. And this is after a few warnings of unacceptable behavior. So, Joel, you're probably familiar with it, but I think most people here are familiar with that guy problem when it came to paladins.
We've all been there.
Mm-hmm. Or that GM specifically.
Like I said, we've all been there.
Mm-hmm. For those who are unaware, that GM problem is because of how specific behavior is when it comes to alignment. There have been cases where certain GMs will put paladin players in a situation where they either die or do something that violates their tenets and then fall and become a blackguard. And it's resulted in paladins having an unfortunate reputation.
Easy way to avoid that is to bend the rules a little bit so a paladin will follow the same alignment as their god.
Oh.
I mean,
No,
isn't that what 5th edition did?
Pretty much.
Yep.
But of course, 5th wanted to be kind of loosey about things, but I've covered that elsewhere. But each of the gods that are listed, they go into the holy symbol that they have, as well as their sacred image, the legend of them, as well as their dogmas, and 3 proverbs from them. And that goes with, and each one of them has it listed whether or not they're a ancient, a major, or a minor god. The difference between the 3 is the amount of influence they have and the region in which they have influence. If you're outside that sphere of influence, you can still cast divine spells, it's just more expensive. But we have Lyphos, the divine ancestor, the first god. Tydan, the god of the sun. Kiliha, the god of wisdom. Asteria, the goddess of fairies. Grendel, the blazing emperor, and basically the war god of the first sword. Zaya, the god of knights. Which, the fact that there was a god of knights amuses me to no end. Sien, the goddess of the moon. Lulod, the god of wanderers. Sakaros, the god of drinking. And, of course, his...
Hey, Doku.
Yep.
Hey, that's probably Doku's god.
Mm-hmm. Luferia, the goddess of water. Lilith, the fused god. Which is basically in the same position as, say, Sun is in Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, Sunni.
Mm-hmm. Nilda, the goddess of clothing.
Honestly, why that's a thing, it's just is.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the gods of the second sword, you have Dulkrem, the god of war. Bragzabas, the goddess of decay, who, because she uses a spider as her holy symbol, well, there's your rough equivalent to Lolth, with a little bit of Nurgle put in there for good measure.
Oh dear lord.
Oh, Lord. Like, both of those by themselves are bad enough. And they're like, hey, we're just gonna put this peanut butter and jelly together and make something absolutely awful. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe if the peanut butter was already moldy and everything.
Mm-hmm. Like one of her proverbs is moans of pain, cries of hatred, cries of despair, all are offerings to God.
So the poisons quietly, secretly, wide and deep.
Mm-hmm. But then there's Metissier, the immortal god, who I guess you could describe him as the god of undead. Then Laris, the mad god, who promises absolute freedom, but it's actually absolute chaos
and anarchy.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there's also a nice little diagram about the relationships between the gods of the first and second sword detailed, which is nice. That diagram would expand significantly over the lifespan of Sword World.
But it's nice to see its humble origins.
Mm-hmm. But then we have some modifiers to some of the rules, like having a point buy option for character creation.
That's nice.
Which is a bit tricky to do, but it is possible to do. As well as the concept of work skills. Essentially vocations that you could do when you're not adventuring. With most work skills do cap at 15, but you're considered a professional with that work skill when you have 5 levels in it. And as far as learning them, it's not you're not spending experience for it. It is specifically milestone based.
That's kind of
and
cool,
of
though.
course,
I mean, like,
I'm looking at
true mastery is based on like investment of time and actually playing the game, and not just like optimizing and then maxing. I like that.
Yeah, and there's.
I'm also going over the list, and I'm definitely seeing consort and courtesan.
Mm-hmm. There's quite a few professions with associated work skills. And if you wanted, you could randomize it. But what you get from work skills is it's not going to give you much advantage when it comes to combat or the like. You could use it for certain ability modifier checks. However, there is a bit of a catch. And that is if you choose to learn multiple work skills, you cap at 10. If you focus on just one, you cap at 15. But the idea of work skills would get significantly expanded in later books. But it's nice that the idea was being considered so early on.
Playing in my role-playing game? Absurd.
Like, what's next? Like, what's next? You expect us to talk in character?
Heresy.
But
I do like how there is rules for like the downtime activities.
mhm.
Something that certain other role playing system doesn't have.
Oh yeah, and they also brought in racial trait improvements, which this would become canonized in 2.5. Essentially, at levels 6 and 11, you can get improved versions of the racial features. For example, with human, at level 6, when using Change Fate, you can add 1 to the result. This doesn't change the results of double 6s or double 1s. And at level 11, you add 2. These aren't cumulative, of course. They also put in an optional rule for defense fumbles, which basically, if you roll a natural 1, you can roll a d6 to see what bad result you end up getting instead of just automatically failing but getting 50 experience. So if you roll a 1 on that, you still get that effect. As well, actually, no, I take that back. I was thinking of something else. With defensive fumbles, if you roll 1, you have to roll twice on the table and take both results, but you do get an additional 50 XP. 2, you increase the damage based on the number of sword shards your attacker has. 3, you increase damage by the attacker's level. 4, the attacker rolls damage twice and takes the higher result. 5, you take final double damage. And 6, you can't reduce damage using your defense.
All of those sucks. So having the chance of having to deal with both of those is it's a little rough.
Well, it's also a good way for the dice gods to remind us how much they hate us.
I'd probably only use this if I wanted to double down on having a high risk, more lethal style of play. But it is a nice thing to have. They also introduced tangling weapons, which didn't exactly cross over in a 2.5. But this is the closest thing you'd get to, say, whip weapons. And they do have a whole set of rules about how entangling works based on hit location.
Really? They're giving us whips to hold it, and yet you can't even give grappler submissions?
I think doing grappler submissions in what you're thinking of would when you're dealing with the bigger monsters is gonna create some issues.
Fair.
Plus, it doesn't quite match the fantasy. But when it comes to the item list, this is where we see one thing that would become a repeat issue, and that is repetition of list. Instead of just listing the new editions, it lists the whole thing, including the new editions.
I mean, this is a supplement. You could at least just print out just the new stuff, and you'd still have the core rulebooks on the side for the original stock.
Yeah. It's admittedly something that has bugged me when it came to 2.0. Because the book states right at the start, you're mainly gonna need the core rulebooks. So why are you reprinting stuff that's in the core rulebooks already? The big addition is tangling weapons. And one thing I find interesting, there are no B rank tangling weapons. There's only A and S rank weapons, and double S. And not all of them are whips. Because, for example, we have nets, as well as drain nets, which is basically a net that can drain mana from a target.
I think I dated her.
Let's see, whips, chains, Kusari Fundo, which is not a Kusari Gama because there's no sickle on it. It's just a chain with weights on the end. Of course, a Meteor Hammer for those of you who really, really wanted to get the shit beat out of you by Gogo Yubari and Kill Bill.
I mean, there are worse ways to go.
Yeah, well, they said get hammered. I didn't think they meant like that.
Oh, or you really, really liked the Gundam Hammer.
And the Gundam Hammer or Barbatos's big-ass mace.
Well, that's a mace. That's a different weapon. The Gundam Hammer was basically a meteor hammer with rockets on it. Oh. But at S rank, you have things like the Rose Whip, for those of you who really liked Kurama. The Cat of Nine Tails, for people who are popular with clubs. The Urumi, which is the those steel whips that you see in parts of India.
Mm.
A chain net, which is exactly what you think it is. And the weight and sickle part of a Kusari Gama. And at double S rank, you have a snake sword.
We summon Ivy from Soul Calibur.
Or maybe the sword whip from a Bloodstained.
Mm-hmm. I can understand why that's a double S rank weapon and a magic weapon. So that little diamond symbol on some of the weapons, if it has that, it's a magic weapon. Magic weapons cannot be enhanced. But, of course, then we have wrestling weapons, and wrestling weapons can only be equipped by grapplers and later on battle dancers, and each one will specify whether or not it improves punches, kicks, or throws. Essentially, when you pick that one, you're replacing the punch, kick, or throw entry in your sheet. So for example, picking Cestus, that replaces your punch entry. And of course, even with the whole thing with guns, despite what it may sound, you're not creating the ammunition. You still need to get bullets. Some of those bullets may do extra stuff, but you still need it. And it is amusing to me that healing potions and healing herbs use the power table just as much as attacks do. And if you take Ranger, you are better at using herbs. Like, it just provides a flat bonus to the amount of HP you'd recover using Life Grass, for instance. But I will admit one thing I've always been kind of iffy about, and I'm not sure if this is something that's going to be addressed with the official release, is this separation between the standard data and the more detailed data for equipment. in terms of how it's laid out, but that admittedly is a minor issue. But I will admit, when it comes to some of the art that we've got, I do like the Lil Draken costume. And I feel like I know at least one person who would try and wear that. We do at the very least have a nice representation of the snake sword, and yeah, it is basically Ivy's weapon. But there's some very interesting stuff that comes out of the adventurer's tools that aren't even magic items. And I also love that the sticky hands is just a couple of plungers.
I mean, not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get some tiny armor for Tab.
Yeah. And of course the white flame ball, which is basically a grenade.
Why is it a cartoon bomb? It's always cartoon bombs.
I mean, like, have you seen the rest of the art in Sword World?
Yes, I have. I was just being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I can think of a few people who would probably equip little wings so that they can attempt to fly or fall with style.
I was just about to say fall with style.
And for FF11 fans, you do have Link Pearls. Probably a little more reliable in this than they would be in FF11. But I like that there's plenty of I've always liked that there's plenty of unique items, even if they are expensive. That means you don't have to load up on a bunch of magic items just to be useful. Now, Alchemist Works also introduced the idea of processed items via its crafting system. This is something that didn't make the transition, and I think I know why. I've mentioned this in the past, but I have a love-hate relationship with crafting systems in most RPGs. And a big reason for that is the specificity of materials and the time sink that the mechanics for it often are. Those tend to be things that turn me away from a lot of crafting systems. Of course, some of them have weird stuff that they don't explain, like the whole you have to spend XP to make magic items in certain games.
Why?
I don't know. They never explain it, and because that game wants to play halfsies about setting, there's no in-universe reason I can use to justify it. But the processing stuff is using the Alchemist class. Though other classes could potentially be used if appropriate. And when it comes to materials, it's either obtained from monsters or can be purchased, obviously. Like, to create a golden mattock, you need a sandworm gem, which you can get from a sandworm, or use a green sandworm gem. Oh.
You got to be real careful when hunting sandworms. The Fremen may not like you for it.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
What about graboids? Are they legit?
Look, you can deal with graboids easy if you have enough bullets.
Accuracy by volume.
Mm-hmm.
The Russian way.
No, the Russian way is to try and do accuracy by volume. Realize you can't afford it. Try to do it anyways on the cheap, and pay for it disastrously.
Yep.
Yeah, the man with the rifle shoots, the one without runs behind. You know how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have all these rifles, but we can't get them to the front lines because we don't have the means to do it. Or
What's a
yeah,
few
let's
billion more dead?
let's make a nuclear submarine, and let's make a nuclear submarine and then crash it into a place that really doesn't like it, off the shore of a place that really doesn't like us, and then get mad when they say, if it's crashed and there's no problem, then we claim salvage rights. Sweden will smile all day, but fuck around and the Viking comes out.
True.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the Whiskey on the Rocks incident.
No need. We all heard that story.
But when it comes to each item, it will list what work skill will work with it. For starters, or an occupation. If you have that, you can use that instead of using an adventurer class. The class entry means you can use that class for it. Then there's the type, the target number you need to beat, how long it takes. The max simultaneous is the maximum amount of items you can make it in one go with it. The processing fee is how much gamma you have to spend to do the process, assuming you've got the items. And you need the materials. So for a paralyzing arrow or a quarrel of arrows, you can make up the 6 of them. The processing fee is 200. You need a poisonous needle and thin wings, and they do list what you can get it from. And this kind of thing is nice, but I think I can understand why it didn't make the transition over to 2.5. Because doing this kind of thing with every single new weapon or armor or item is going to get ridiculous, and you're going to be eternally playing catch-up unless you dedicate whole chapters to it.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, in my experience, the amount of players that use the crafting systems is on the lower end of things. And
I got famously dinged by a reviewer for putting a crafting system in my game.
I didn't ding you for... I dinged you for...
I was dinged. Go watch it again. You dinged me.
Yeah,
Continue.
I did because I thought it was undercooked.
I see.
Yeah, it's fucking raw.
Have you tried it, Mildred? Did you play a game with it? Did you notice the hundreds of hours of research I did for it? Did you do that?
I did.
The degree that I used to make certain it was accurate? And none of that?
I did.
Undercooked, huh? A game that wasn't... First of all, no, you didn't. I followed your career too closely, you lying liar pants. Second of all, it's not undercooked. It's not a focus of the fist game about punching.
That...
Continue.
Yeah.
We don't have to humiliate you anymore. That's sufficient for one podcast.
Mildred will remember this.
Oh God, no.
But
At least it's not Architect this time.
Oh, goodness.
But I will note when it comes to the monsters, there's quite a few unique ones that we have, and with each one, you can kind of see that there's a lot more to there's with these type of unique monsters, they go out of their way to make them unique when it comes to the abilities that they have, as well as things like loot. And several of them have multiple sections. Anyone that has multiple sections has a main section. You take out the main section, you take out the whole thing. When it comes to the loot table, any entry that says always means no matter what you roll, you're getting that. In addition to whatever you get from your roll. You can kind of see what I mentioned before when it comes to the whole alchemy card setup with them. But all of these monsters are in the category of unique monsters. We have some for barbarous, animals, undead, mythical beasts, and demons.
Did someone say demons?
Yeah, although with demons we only have one entry. Faithful Dog Devorks.
Fuck. Just a hell dog.
Which is described as a... Well, maybe not just a hell dog, based on the description. Devorks is an 8-meter-long demon with the body of wolf and wings. Although it is a demon, it never disobeys its master and is always faithful to carrying out its commands. But it is preferring to dominate weaker beings rather than defeat them. They chain the weak by contract or magic and use them as slaves. It is said to be the most powerful demon possessed by the demon tamer in City of Mist, but no one has actually seen it in use. If Devorks is to appear in a scenario, it can appear as the mount of the higher-ranking demon. It may also live by itself in the wild after losing its master and trying to fill a lair full of humanoid
What a good
slaves.
boy. Question mark.
If
Yes.
Devorks is defeated, the PCs gain the title of Champion of Petrokolos, which grants 50 reputation. And yeah, with a lot of unique monsters, there is that thing of if you beat them, you get a title and get reputation out of it. In addition to whatever loot or XP the GM feels like giving you. And Joel, I will note with the Blue Dragonet, also known as Landing Ordeal Velgurian, Dragonets are the youngest class of dragon.
It's X, maybe?
Or sorry, Draconet, not Dragonet.
Draconet.
Now, when I say young, I mean probably 100 years or so. We are still talking about dragons.
Here be dragons.
And it is a minor blue dragon.
Is this about my obsession with lizard women, or where are you going with this, Mildred?
Just drawing parallels. I didn't know about that obsession, but thank you for you for humiliating yourself.
How did you know? That's like the second. First of all, that's not humiliating. I'm very proud of my lizard fetishism. Second of all, that's like the second most famous thing about me. The fist games and my lust for hot lizard women. Those are the two facts that everyone knows.
I could disagree. I mean, I'm a Hydra,
respect
so...
it.
Yeah. But on the first few pages, they do show some examples of the monsters visually. I do like Morsadar, the Morning Toll of the Void Bell, a Dullahan riding a Magitech bike, who
Hover
instead
bike.
of just having nothing at the top for where his head should be, has a bell.
That is the most metal thing I've ever heard.
Again, Elon Musk, give us the hover transportation already.
Yeah, if you look on page 8, you'll see him. He is on a sky bike.
I mean, technically, there's probably one way how to get a sky bike without having to pay for one. You just gotta beat up the guy.
You know what this reminds me of? The freaking tech writer from Secret of Mana.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Still
It
pretty
does.
metal.
Mm-hmm.
it really does.
But technically, Morzadar is a Dullahan lord. I.e., if a Dullahan was supposed to kill somebody and failed, Morzadar is going to come in and go, fine, I'll do it myself. Supposedly.
Supposedly.
On the other hand, monsters like Fallen Angel Lazarus is a nightmare who is a Dark Knight. I mentioned this before, but Dark Knights aren't a class, they're more of a title to nightmares who decide to side with the barbarous.
Art looks reminiscent of Amano Sensei, but is not.
I'd say the art that we have for Lazarus is more akin to...
He must be a horse.
To,
The way he's a nightmare.
No,
I was
he's too
gonna-
handsome for that.
I was gonna say more Ayami Kojima than Amano.
I can definitely
Yeah.
see it.
I definitely see the Castlevania inspiration there.
Also,
Yeah,
Tortagon looks like something I would use as a plot twist. You're trying to find land when you're on your ship in the middle of the ocean. You think you find land, but surprise, it's not land. You're on the back of a turtle.
Now,
it's
if
never
he's
in
a
the same
good
place
boy,
twice.
if he's a good boy, why not hitch a ride?
Though I do like that they described that supposedly the patterns on his shell are a map that could lead to untold riches, which that could be the case, or it could be people full of it in the same way tall tales are always born.
So you're telling me if Luffy finds the turtle, he'll find One Piece?
Probably.
Oda's already confirmed One Piece is at the bottom of the ocean.
I told that to a friend of mine, and he just did not believe me.
Nope. He has put some sort of note in a vault and put it at the bottom of the ocean. Because of course he has.
I mean,
But with of course there is a nice little appendix at the end, covering monster loot table, loot materials, a item index, as well as some notes from the designers and translators.
Oh, it says I have an appendix.
until it ruptures.
Yeah. But as far as this being the first major entry, I think there's enough unique things within Alchemist Works too.
Okay, I was figuring out if that was on my end or your end.
But what do you guys think of what we've seen in Alchemist Works? Whether it be
You got deleted on a word and ended up fading into the ether there.
Yeah, sorry about that. But what do you guys
Thanos-
think of what
Thanos
was
sniped
in?
him out.
What do you guys think of what was in Alchemist Works?
I could see how Group SNA wanted to use it as a supplement books to just add it to what they already had at the point.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely be open to making an alchemist if it's armored.
This feels
especially.
more of a compliment.
It kind of feels like from 2.0 to this.
To
it
the
kinda
material
feels-
there is already there.
Like, it feels like for this, it's like, oh, they wanted to add Alchemist, but they didn't have time to. So they went and added it in the supplement, and then added a couple more things to make it make people think it's worth grabbing. Which it is a good book. The crafting's a little rough, but like you said, it's hard to make crafting in a TTRPG decent.
One of the big problem when it comes to crafting systems is specificity of recipe. Because of the requiring of very particular items. And from a if one wants to make the realism argument, I can understand that. But I think we've all had this case in video games where there was a certain item we wanted to craft, but there was one component missing, and we didn't know, and we had no idea where to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you had said item, but you failed your attempt to craft it.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you how many times that's happened to me in Ragnarok.
Yeah. And
Like, if you're gonna be doing crafting, at least just start off small and easy to get into.
And the item processing thing, it's a natural complement to alchemist and to work skills. But when we revisit work skills later on, you'll see that individual work skills start getting their own unique benefits, as opposed to what we have here.
So it's not quite as good as it looks on paper. Because I was thinking that this does seem like it's filling up a niche that was otherwise kind of empty in the game.
With a lot of it's, and I'm willing to cut a bit of slack because keep in mind this came out the same year as the core rule books.
Oh, it's really fast. Is that, do you think, why they just reprinted a bunch of the core rules in this one? Like,
this was something that they did with a lot of the 2.0 books of just repeating stuff along with additions in the core books. But a big reason why I think the processing thing didn't make the transfer to 2.5 is there are gonna be books in 2.0 and 2.5 that are just about adding in as many magic items as they can fit in the book. And adding in, and all those items that you're adding in, you would also have to put in rules for how the processing works. And it's a matter of logistics. But
yeah, it seems like logistics was at least part of the thought process behind making this. That said, it does have a lot to say for itself, doesn't it? As a supplement. This feels like a pretty natural addition.
Yeah.
So,
I'm looking up the release timeline to see where it landed, and that's the wrong one. I need the 2.0 release timeline. So Core Rulebook 1, so all of this came out in 2008. Core Rulebook 1 came out in April. Core Rulebook 2 came out in June. Core Rulebook 3 came out in August. Alchemist Works also came out in August.
Oh my goodness.
That's a pretty short window.
Mm-hmm. So the fact they're able to put that much in it when it's coming out the same month as Core Rulebook 3, which I think this had to have been afterwards, because Core Rulebook 3 is where we bumped the level cap to 15, and we do and since there are 10th level required evocations in this book, it had to have been late August. Obviously, we don't know the exact day. We only know the month. But that's my guess, just based on where the timeline ends up going.
One of the benefits of releasing like that in that really tight window, too, the way they did, is that you have all of the ideas of the core design fresh in your mind. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I can't speak for whether or not the authors had a lot of, this might have been a totally different set of authors, I don't know. But if they did, then there's probably a reason, it's probably the reason that it feels so congruent with what we've already seen.
This was mainly written by Tanaka Koji under Kei Kitazawa's supervision. In the 1.0 era, the main supervisor was Ryo Mizuno. In the 2.0 era, the main supervisor is Kei Kitazawa. as
Okay,
far
so
as
he's like a line editor then.
yeah, as far as and when I say main supervisor, I mean, you know how I've talked about the importance of having someone who is the guy?
Yeah.
Kitazawa is that guy.
The formal name for that is line editor, and yeah, you need that guy. That guy's important.
I always go with either the guy or the to reference a term to reference a term from the army, from that I learned from my father. The HIHAIC, or sometimes HIIC. Head idiot in charge.
Yes.
Oh,
That's people in a nutshell.
but what do you guys think of what we saw when it came to the alchemist as a class?
I like it, and I want to play it.
Oh,
I could see how it could be probably supplement a geisha type without having to dip it into two major classes.
mhm.
Yeah, since it's not like magic, you still got a lot of the fun magic perks. You know, yeah, as a Gish, I
Make
think that's a
your
good.
own.
Yeah.
And
As far as just playing it straight, I don't know. Maybe. It feels a little.
you don't play any of the classes straight. Like, period.
I mean, just like doing it as like your primary, though. I mean, this feels like your second choice.
it could. There's advantage within the part 1 when it talks about class commentary. They talk about advice if you're doing it as primary or secondary. But I could see why some had said that the alchemist was a bit OP in some of the replays. Especially stuff like paralyzing mist.
Yeah, that's like that
Man.
one's really rough.
And the fact that you get that at level 1?
And it's tricky to discuss the development path when it comes to alchemists, because remember, instead of just getting a set of evocations every level, you're picking one from a pool. That potential pool expands as you level up, but it means you can have 2 people who picked alchemist and they don't have the same kit.
Very much so.
Then again,
I
that can
like that,
apply to Sword World as a whole. You could have 2 people who have levels in one particular class, and that's the only thing they have in common.
Yeah, the classes are pretty broad in terms of what they can bring to the table and like how you can focus them. So, yeah. And I really think it's a triumph of design whenever you can do that. Whenever you can have 2 characters in the same like general archetype, but they manifest very differently. It means that my long dreamed of Full Metal Alchemist game might actually be a possibility now.
I remember somebody tooling around with using some of the mechanics in Anima to do a FMA campaign, but that was on the Spanish forums and they never finished it.
Anima isn't really the strongest system for this sort of thing. Sword World seems pretty robust, though.
I think if someone wanted to do FMA style alchemy, they would need to use some system that allows for full custom spells. The spheres system for Pathfinder and 5e would actually work, because it's kind of because it is very much built for that.
I looked into that one, yeah.
There's also the fact that you don't even though that system has spell points, you're not using them to cast spells. You're using them to enhance them. because of that, a lot of that whole being conservative with magic thing is not going to be as much of a problem unless you want the really big effects. But I'd say the only thing I'm kind of iffy about when it comes to what we have in Alchemist Works is the processing system.
You don't like it? You don't like it?
I think for the kind of game Sword World is, it's a little bit too crunchy.
I can see that, but like, remember this is a supplement book, so the supplement books traditionally should take you in the direction of deeper crunch. I think because the more approachable aspects should all be in the core book and shared, and then like whenever you specialize in the way that would require you to branch out for new books, it seems really natural that you'd add more depth to that, and it does. It adds depth, which is something I think is admirable about it.
Yeah. From the reason I say that is that problem of the specificity of items.
Okay.
I'm especially given that it means that what you're going to be able to craft is going to be extremely dependent on what encounters you have in front of you. It's this sort of thing is certainly common in various video games, but I'm not quite sure if this approach works well in tabletop.
It does in Axe. Axe has something similar, where the magic components you can get are harvestables from specific kinds of monsters. And it works really well. What you wind up having to do is you either have to like scout and seek out those particular monsters, or you can like set traps for them. Like infamously, the wizard, when they make a tower, makes a dungeon under it, and that attracts the appropriate kinds of monsters for them to harvest for magical components. So there are ways to do it that's really fun.
Yeah, I think though this processing thing but unless something came along that I'm not aware of, has not made the transfer over to 2.5. And what I think would make it complicated if you were to transfer it is work skills don't work exactly the same way in 2.5 as they do in 2.0. So that's something that you would have to address, since you can use Alchemist you can use a class or a work skill for processing. But that being said, when we come back here next week, let me see how I wrote it out. So next week we're going to be covering our first region when it comes to Sword World. There are three books we'll be looking at, and two of them are more in the travelogue style of things, and one of them is going to be the more detailed one. We'll be looking at the two tour books, that being Tour Leos and Tour Luferia, as well as the Natural History of Phaedon book, which that one is the bigger part of the equation. Leos and Luferia are city-states that have a very travelogue way of writing. Natural History of Phaedon is the region where both of those city-states are in, and that's what's going to be our focus.
I'm interested to see how they do setting in this system. I think that can be a make or break for games like this, so I'm eager for those ones. Well, this one was a lot of fun. This is a fun one to jump in on for the record.
Yeah. Sword World is married to its setting. Is it possible to run Sword World outside of Raxia? Technically, yes, but you got some work cut out for you.
Yeah, it seems kind of like the World of Darkness in that regard, where it's like, well, sure you can, but I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much that could apply to all of the games under the Storyteller umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bunch of mechanics are very much tied into the world at large.
Mm-hmm.
It gives excuses as to why adventurers are adventurers.
Mm-hmm.
Are those your feet slapping together? What the hell?
And it gives reputational stuff that would otherwise be impossible if not for the setting.
Pretty much. And that's material that we will be getting into in the coming weeks. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, may your adventures be grand and your treasures myriad. Stay frosty.
See you on the trail.
Until next time, everyone.
Catch y'all later.
Did we all say goodbye?
Sometimes.